Hello, I'm David Ralph, Chief Executive of the Heart of the Southwest Local Enterprise Partnership, and welcome to our series of Clean Growth Conversations. Clean and inclusive growth is part of the Local Enterprise Partnership's key priorities and is part of our plan to build back better following the COVID pandemic and also in the context of challenges around cost of living, etc. It is increasingly recognised as the overarching economic challenge and opportunity of our time. Our plan sets out how this area might achieve clean and inclusive growth based on its distinctive and economic opportunities. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Judith Petts, who is Vice-Chancellor of Plymouth University, and we're going to discuss clean growth. We'll look at how the university is supporting it and what we might do in the wider region to really make sure that this opportunity gets recognised at a national level and secure the investment that we need. So hi Judith, thanks very much for sparing your time today. Could you firstly just talk a little bit about your role and your name and also what the university is doing around clean growth in this agenda?
Oh, well, hi David, thanks for the opportunity to talk about clean growth. I'm Judith Petts, I'm Vice-Chancellor and Chief Exec of the University of Plymouth, and I have been for the last, coming up 7 years now. The university's clean growth activities is very much based in its long-held environment sustainability and particularly marine research and development. Our research drive, particularly in offshore renewable energy, is probably the largest and most consolidated amount of work that we do. Our colleagues are leading, particularly Professor Deborah Greaves, are leading the EPSRC-funded SuperGen project, which is a 5-year project looking at offshore renewable energy and particularly offshore floating wind. And this is a key thing, is a partnership project with major universities across the UK and with business as well. And so this is looking at everything of the potential for floating offshore wind in the southwest, utilising the vast natural resources of the Celtic Seas, and also the technology development for floating offshore wind and the whole operational opportunities and challenges that flow will present. So that's what I call the large-scale projects. But then we're also involved in small scale projects around clean maritime, particularly around electric boats and autonomous ships as well, and work in partnership again with business and with the University of Exeter in some of those projects. And so there's sort of multiple strands to our work, all of it in partnership with other universities, other research institutions, and with business, but particularly in relation to floating offshore wind, our very unique research facility, which is unique in a university sense in the UK, which enables us to model tidal energy around both using depth and horizontal flows of water, but also now actually backed up with wind generation to bring modelling from simulation into the real world.
And is your university following the green principles?
Absolutely. In our own work, we have long driven a sustainability culture and actually drive that right the way through the way we operate, but also the way that we develop into our teaching and research and the way we bring forward our students for future employment in green businesses in particular.
And is that driven by your students or by your employees or who's sort of pushing you forward in that agenda?
I think it's been driven very much by long-standing excellence in research areas in environment and sustainability, which are decades old. And therefore it's come from a very strong academic base from our staff, but certainly over the last probably 5 years plus, we've seen a very strong drive for our students to want to be involved, to see green issues and sustainability issues in their teaching, and to challenge universities as well on what they're actually doing. And that is incredibly healthy.
And the university is obviously an important part of the city, important part of the infrastructure there. Do you see particular assets across the city and the clean growth agenda being driven there?
Yes, very much so. And senior staff are involved in the whole Plymouth sustainability and clean energy plan for the city and have been part of various committees in developing that plan. I see great opportunities potentially for the development of joint Infrastructure going forward. We have in Plymouth area, particularly in Langage, opportunities around green hydrogen. And I'd love to see opportunities being taken up by both the university in partnership with the city around green hydrogen supply to our energy resources.
And are there any particular asks you've got of government or business partners or others that you think would be helpful to try and make this ambition go faster or go further?
There's particular needs at the current time around what might be called the testing stage of most of clean energy. In the research language, what might be called TRL levels, sort of 4, 5, 6, where we need to see industry involved in the research for development purposes and their testing of the use of opportunities as they come forward in new technologies in particular. And I hope that we can capitalise on government commitments to the continued growth of R&D funding and also the opportunities around levelling up to feed off the real strengths of the Southwest and our business partnerships. This can't be done by one group of people alone. This has to be done in partnership.
You also sit in part of a wider Southwest piece, which we sometimes refer to as the UK's natural powerhouse. Are there particular assets in the Southwest that you think are important and which you think we can take advantage of?
Well, I think the assets, particularly in offshore renewables, it's interesting how when you hear it mentioned by government, they often talk about the North Sea or they talk about Scotland, and it's how often they don't talk about the vast opportunity in the Celtic Seas to be taken forward. So I think we need to actually position the Southwest more strongly in terms of its natural capital and its R&D resources to say we will have UK impact, not just Southwest benefit. And that's probably a language we need to step up. I think feeding off the long business partnerships that we have in the Southwest, but also the intense understanding of the natural capital of the Southwest is something we have to capitalise on. And we probably need to shout more loudly for the Southwest in the national conversation on this.
That's really great. I really appreciate your time joining us today, Judith, and I'll see you later in the week.
Absolutely. Thank you.